Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thanks for downloading the first installment of the Source One Procurement download brought to you by Source One Management Services. I'm your host, Nick Harris-Simchek. I'm a senior project analyst here at Source One Management Services. I'm joined by the man behind the scenes, or behind the screen, so to speak, Mr. Bennett Glace. How are you, Bennett?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Oh, it's doing well. Doing well. Thanks again for tuning in. What we hope to be the first of many installments of the Source One Procurement download. Basically, the overall intent of this podcast is to give procurement personality, so to speak. What we want to do is introduce you to topics that you can find relevant, whether it be personally, professionally, within your organization, and cover a variety of topics that we feel provide value. And I think we're starting off really strong here this week with our first guest and our first topic, so might as well just jump right into it. Our first guest, our inaugural guest, I guess that's pretty substantial, would be Mrs. Jennifer Engel. Jennifer is a senior analyst at Source One Management Services as well, works under the supply chain vertical here at Source One. Jennifer, how are you?
I'm doing well, Nick. How are you?
I'm doing well. Are you pretty honored to be our first guest? It's exciting stuff, you know.
I am so excited to be the test pilot for this, ready and raring to go.
Awesome. So before we jump into our topic, which again, we're kind of leaving the listeners at bay a little bit, we're going to tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, particularly here at Source One, and your interests within supply chain management, some hobbies that you may have. Go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about Jennifer Engel.
Great. Yeah. So I've been a senior analyst at Source One for about 2 years now. And I actually accidentally stumbled into supply chain as a career. Back when I was a freshman in college, my dad works for a major manufacturing company in Pittsburgh, and they assign employees' kids to random internships within the company. So I was a meteorology major at the time and randomly got put into procurement. Cut to 4 years later and kind of caught that bug and stuck with it, starting with internal procurement within that manufacturing company, and then moved on to consulting as an intern later once I moved to Chicago. And once that consulting bug caught, then it was Source One from there on out. So I've always been interested in supply chain ever since that initial taste. And with the consulting industry, I'm always encouraged to keep learning and keep growing and working with various clients across all of our industries that we are fortunate enough to penetrate. It's been a great career so far.
Awesome. Yeah, meteorology to procurement to consulting, that's not necessarily a traditional path, but one that is certainly pretty exciting. So I didn't clarify when I introduced you, Jen, you are based in our Chicago office. I know you've been there the entirety of your career here at Source One. Speaking of Source One, what would you say sets us apart?
I think there's a few things that set Source One apart. And the first one I've noticed, especially after coming here directly from another consulting firm, is the way we really are open to customizing and tailoring our process to any situation. Process is obviously important, and I believe it should be, outlaid and followed, but with the consulting industry, that's clients' concerns. They don't want a boilerplate approach to anything, and I've never seen that at Source One. And the second thing is that we are, strategic sourcing focused only. We don't have other sectors. We're not, just a small subset of a greater consulting firm. Our leadership is experts in strategic sourcing. They have been for many years. They're thought leaders. We wrote the book on it. So there's always an answer within Source One. Whether I have it, the person above me has it, or the person above that person has it. There's just so many thought leaders involved in the organization. And it's great how we are building our own infrastructure. We have our own spend tools. We have our own e-sourcing tools. We aren't reliant on third parties if we don't need to be. So if you have Source One, you have all of our attention, you have our full attention, you have our full tool set at your disposal. And I think within other consulting spaces, it's more of that half attention while they pay attention to other things going on as well.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Our flexibility is definitely what sets us apart. To be completely honest, this podcast right in and of itself is an example of the support that our executive team allows us to kind of try new things, venture out into new areas to try and generate content for our clients, for the industry, for anybody that has access.
Yeah, one of the things that drew me to Source One in the first place, before I was really aware of the company, was the Strategic Sorcerer blog. Anything I would be doing related to sourcing, to procurement, to ideas and industry trends, whenever I would be doing research, I would always be sent back to the Strategic Sorcerer, and I was wondering, who are these people? And now happy to be one of them.
To the internet. Absolutely. And speaking of that Strategic Sorcerer blog, you set up the perfect transition for us to really kind of dive into the topic for today. And a company that has certainly, I want to say taken the industry by storm, but taken America, the world by storm, and that is the beast known as Amazon. You mentioned Strategic Sorcerer last fall. I know you had generated some content for our Strategic Sorcerer blog. And again, those of you listening, you can find it at strategicsorcerer.com. It's something that really caught our attention, particularly in the procurement industry, as well as industry analysts all over the globe have really been keeping an eye on Amazon.com. And you specifically have generated, in addition to the blog, I know last November, I believe you did a speaking engagement talking about the impact Amazon has had on the economy, on procurement. Talk to us a little bit about what you feel Amazon brings to the table and what the last 12 to 18 months for them has really meant to the industry.
I mean, Amazon essentially has their foot in so much today. You could speak to Amazon how it relates to anything from, obviously with the acquisition of Whole Foods to how it's impacting the food and the grocery sector, to the Amazon Go stores and how that's impacting, the general shopping experience in a brick and mortar. And obviously they've revolutionized the way that e-commerce works today. My specific area of focus for that presentation was Amazon Business, their business platform, and how that's going to impact, or how it's already impacted, B2B purchasing through an e-commerce platform. So there's a lot of things that are great about it. Obviously a convenient platform, it's free to use for businesses. Businesses are also able to list their own products on the Amazon platform, but it's not a perfect solution for traditional B2B supplier-business relationships.
Elaborate on that for me a little bit, because everyone sees Amazon as a one-stop shop, fix-all solution. You can have it in 2 days if you have Prime. What are some drawbacks to it? I'm sorry to cut you off there, but just if you could elaborate on that piece.
Sure. Yeah, so I think the first thing to consider is why Amazon is so successful in the business-to-consumer space. Amazon perfected completing the sale. So with e-commerce, obviously one of the big issues is people abandoning their carts, right before they're about to purchase something. If they have to, they don't have their credit card on them, they have to go find their credit card, insert their credit card numbers, or they want it in 2 days and shipping is going to take a week, or shipping's an extra $5. So many factors that, caused consumers to say, you know what, never mind. Whereas in a brick and mortar situation, if you already went out to the store, you're likely going to complete that transaction. So Amazon saw this, Amazon noticed this, Amazon created that seamless one-click shopping solution to drive that business, and to drive business for things that you wouldn't typically purchase online, like paper towels or food goods that you want almost immediately, and now with Amazon Prime you can have that. That doesn't necessarily translate perfectly over to a B2B situation. First of all, most businesses, especially major organizations, are doing most of their shopping in an e-commerce platform anyway. So it's not as though, before, a major food distributor was going to the Home Depot and purchasing some goods, obviously. That's not going to be a differentiator for Amazon in this space. The thing that it does well is it is a free B2B platform, and it does have kind of the illusion of being beneficial. So if you're a mid to small size business, you can go onto this platform, you can look up the products you want, you can search for similar products, you can obviously sort by price. And it's all, very simple. It integrates into your ERP system, so you're able to set up separate business accounts and separate GL accounts. So essentially it's giving you a free P2P process, for, lack of better term. But it's not strategic. It's not a strategic platform, and it's not personalized platform. And a major thing that businesses need, especially large organizations when they're making their purchasing decisions, is they need a supplier that's a partner. They need a supplier that's setting up programs that are custom tailored to them and their needs. So Amazon just doesn't have the capabilities to do that at this point. They're not going to have, an account representative that can go into your manufacturing warehouse, look around and make some recommendations on products that would be a best match, or they're not going to make process improvement recommendations. Amazon's just not going to do that. Sure, you can buy the same widget that you could buy from a Grainger or any other industrial supply supplier, but it's that personalized service that really sets it apart, and it's that personalized program. So through a traditional supplier company relationship, you can set up, core items that you're buying frequently. You can negotiate directly on those items. You can set up tiered discounts, things like that. Whereas with the Amazon platform, it's still pretty tactical. It's still pretty transactional. It's not the same relationship, and it's not going to be, as long as an organization has a smart sourcing and procurement department, they will not allow Amazon Business to fully take over that space.
I bet you that'll give a lot of people some ease, because I know that's something that has been talked about a lot, as particularly as this day and age that we turn the page into 2018, and as Amazon continues to just grow exponentially. Speaking of that, Jen, having that full service quality, is that something that Amazon could develop internally? Would Amazon be best set to set itself apart by maybe acquiring more of a procurement organization, maybe a smaller company, or if they build it in-house, do you think that service offering could gain more traction?
I don't. And the reason I don't is because Amazon isn't managing most of these products. They're just working on behalf of the smaller distributors. You can book services through Amazon as it stands today. The issue there is Amazon's taking a large part of that cost. I think Amazon is charging up services 20 to 25% at this point. So when you could go direct to a local distributor, a local service provider for your needs, if you're doing that through the Amazon platform, you're paying a premium. I just don't see them ever, unless they truly bring an in-house service team, which just logistically would likely be a nightmare with how localized service really needs to be. I don't see them ever really eliminating the need for those local service providers. Right, and I don't think Amazon wants to, because from the get-go, they've been pretty adamant that their business model can certainly be, duplicated. It's not that they're trying to differentiate, it's just they're doing it the best and they're doing it efficiently and they're building that brand loyalty. But I don't think they have any interest in, becoming a service provider for businesses across the country or the world.
And that's it for part 1 of the Source One procurement conversation. Check back next time for part 2 as we discuss Amazon's hunt for a second headquarters in the United States.